Hall of Fame, where the best of the best are enshrined forever to be remembered by history. Right now, there are a ton of players who are falling into the Hall of Very Good, though. Guys who are certainly very skilled, but maybe aren't quite on the trajectory to make it into Canton. At least for the time being. And you know, I'm pretty sure there's a player on every single team out there who falls into this category. When it comes to active NFL players, we all know who the surefire Hall of Famers are. You know, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Donald, Trent Williams, Travis Kelce and Jalen Ramsey, etc., etc. All 32 NFL teams have several players who are shoo-ins, or at least strong candidates for the Hall of Fame. But they each also have a notable star who simply lacks the individual stats and accolades to actually be a Canton member. So today, here are the best players on every NFL team who won't make the Hall of Fame. Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. Alright, for starters, who else is there to choose on this depleted roster? Yeah, that's what we thought. Murray has shown flashes of brilliance over his first 4 NFL seasons, but injuries and inconsistent production have prevented him from making the jump to elite. And it's a real shame that his talents are being wasted on a dysfunctional organization. Murray will end up like Cam Newton, Michael Vick, and Randall Cunningham, an electrifying dual-threat QB who simply lacked the longevity and consistency to earn a spot in Canton. Atlanta Falcons, Jake Matthews. Matthews has been a rock on the Falcons O-line since being drafted 6th overall in 2014, but he's played in an era featuring so many other great offensive tackles, and it's been hard for Matthews to especially stand out. The lack of all-pro selections coupled with Atlanta's never-ending period of mediocrity are bound to keep him out of the Hall. Baltimore Ravens, Odell Beckham Jr. Beckham Jr. was a top 3 wideout in the game during his tenure with the New York Giants. Sadly, injuries have largely impacted what was once a Hall of Fame-looking career. He missed all but 4 games in 2017, 4 games in 2018, 9 games in 2020, after suffering a torn ACL, and the entire 2022 season recovering from a torn ACL that he suffered in Super Bowl 55. Given his age and injury history, it's pretty hard to envision OBJ earning the least bit of consideration for Canton. Buffalo Bills, Tre'Davious White. White missed 6 games in 2021 and 11 games in 2022, recovering from a torn ACL. So it's now been 3 years since we last saw a healthy White at the top of his prime. White is about to enter his age 28 season, and cornerbacks tend to slow down by their early 30s. Throw in the fact that there are just so many other great corners in this era, and it's hard for us to see how White will garner the consideration to get inducted. Carolina Panthers, Adam Thielen. Thielen was a late bloomer who broke out for the Minnesota Vikings in his age 26 season. Thielen crossed 1,000 yards receiving in 2017 and 2018, but hasn't quite hit that mark ever since, all but assuring that he won't make it into Canton. He had a short but sweet 3-year run as a Pro Bowl caliber wideout in the Gopher State, but your prime has to last a little bit longer as a wide receiver if you're gonna make it into the Hall. Chicago Bears, Tremaine Edmonds. What are the odds that Edmonds repeats his all-pro level performance in the Windy City? Not high, considering that he was surrounded by many other stars on Buffalo's D. Aside from his high tackle totals, Edmonds also hasn't exactly stuffed the stat sheet in any major categories. It's gonna take quite the run over these next 5 years for him to strengthen his Hall of Fame case. But we just don't see it happening. Cincinnati Bengals, T. Higgins. Higgins is the ideal number 2 wideout to superstar Jamar Chase. But when you throw Tyler Boyd into the mix, there are only so many bites of the apple available to Higgins. How will Higgins realistically put up all-world stats with Boyd and Chase, a top 3 receiver in the game, also snatching passes from Joe Burrow? It's just not realistic whatsoever. Cleveland Browns, Amari Cooper. Cooper has been a model of consistent production since his 2015 rookie year. But he hasn't once led the NFL in any major receiving categories, and you can't really say he's ever been a top 5 wideout in the game. Not that he can take all the blame, but Cooper's lack of playoff success and defining individual moments also work against him here. Dallas Cowboys, DeMarcus Lawrence. Lawrence has been a consistent producer on the Cowboys' defensive line, but the Hall of Fame doesn't want just consistency. They want superstar-level play for a lengthy period of time. Lawrence has never been a first-team All-Pro, and he hasn't logged double-digit sacks in a season since 2018. Maybe Jerry Jones puts D-Law in the team Ring of Honor, but the Hall is a pipe dream at this point. Denver Broncos, Justin Simmons. Simmons has been one of football's elite cover and ball hawking safeties since the 2019 season. But realistically, he's going to need 4 more Pro Bowl level years to get into the Hall. Considering that he's now entering his age 30 season in 2023, that feels like a little too much. Simmons has 3 second-team All-Pro nods, but just 1 Pro Bowl selection on his resume, so this man's going to have to defy his age a while longer. But as they say, Father Time is undefeated. Detroit Lions, Taylor Decker. Decker has been a mainstay on Detroit's O-line for over half a decade now, but incredibly, the 2015 national champion hasn't earned a single Pro Bowl or All-Pro nod. It sucks that his career has been overlooked simply because the Lions have stunk for so long. He's been a borderline elite tackle for a while now, but Decker's gonna have to settle for the Lions' Hall of Very Good, if anything else. Green Bay Packers, David Bakhtiari. Bakhtiari missed 4 games in 2020, all but 1 game in 2021, recovering from a torn ACL, and 6 more games in 2011, and 6 more games in 2022. Bakhtiari, now on the wrong side of 30, is unlikely to regain his first-team All-Pro form again. 3 Pro Bowl nods, 2 first-team, and 3 second-team All-Pro selections are very nice, but other OTs of his era, like Tyron Smith, Trent Williams, Lane Johnson, Jason Peters, and Orlando Brown Jr., have much stronger resumes than Bakhtiari. Houston Texans, Laramie Tunsil. The 3-time Pro Bowler has been one of the few positives in Houston over the last 4 seasons. But again, Tunsil is one of the many very good offensive tackles of his era. Has he ever been a top 5 guy at his position? Nah. When you consider the new wave of elite young OTs like Andrew Thomas, Penei Sewell, and Tristan Wirfs, it is just impossible to see a path for Tunsil getting to Canton. Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Taylor. RB is a devaluing position, so it's harder than ever for guys there to make a Hall of Fame case. Among active running backs, Derrick Henry is the only one that feels like he has a chance above 50%. Taylor did win the rushing title in 2021, but he missed 6 games in 2022 to injury. He still needs at least 5 more 1K seasons and probably multiple rushing titles and potentially even 1 MVP award to earn it. Jacksonville Jaguars, Josh Allen. The Jaguars' Josh Allen, not the Bills guy, has been a stud on that front 7 since his 2019 rookie year. But you can't tell us that Allen is a top 10 edge rusher in this league. Also, 2022 first overall pick Trayvon Walker is bound to eventually emerge as the Jaguars' next great pass rusher, which means less sacks and playmaking opportunities for Allen, who will fall well short of the Hall. Kansas City Chiefs, Joe Thuney. Thuney is among the NFL's best guards, but he was never the number 1 offensive lineman on the New England Patriots, and he might not even be the second best on the Chiefs' star-studded unit. The 2-time Super Bowl champion earned his first Pro Bowl selection in 2022, but now on the wrong side of 30, he's gonna need at least 4 more of those and multiple first-team All-Pro selections to even have a shot. And that's not exactly realistic at this point. Las Vegas Raiders, Josh Jacobs. Jacobs won the rushing title in 2022 with 1,653 yards, but he's not going to hit those numbers again, and the fact he is not much of a pass catcher compared to the likes of Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, and Christian McCaffrey don't help matters one bit. Jacobs isn't even halfway to 10,000 career rushing yards, which is practically mandatory to hit if you want to reach Canton. Unless he has several more rushing titles and some individual awards up his sleeves, Jacobs simply will not make it. Los Angeles Chargers, Keenan Allen. Consider Allen this version's era of Jimmy Smith, the ex-Jaguars star. He had consistently very good production, but was he ever in the upper echelon of receivers during his prime years? No, sir. Allen has certainly had some great moments in La La Land as a superb route runner and contested catch specialist. But the Hall of Fame? Come on, no. There isn't room for every good receiver there after all. Los Angeles Rams, Rob Havenstein. To be honest, we don't know who else to choose. The Rams have 3 bona fide superstars in Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald, all of whom are pretty safe bets to be enshrined in Canton. The rest of the roster is pretty thin from there, though. Veteran offensive tackle Rob Havenstein has been a serviceable starter on the O-line, helping the team to a Super Bowl 56 championship in the 2021 season, but Hall of Famer? Yeah, let's not get carried away. Miami Dolphins, Xavier Howard. Howard is a 5-star ball-hawking corner in Miami's secondary. But have you ever put him on the level of, say, Darrelle Revis, Patrick Peterson, or Jalen Ramsey? No, definitely not. Entering his age 30 season, Howard needs 3 more Pro Bowl selections and probably even a Super Bowl ring or 2 to get in. Given his age, it's tough to bet on all of this happening. Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins. Cousins' stats don't lie, but neither do his playoff record and struggles against teams with winning records. 4 Pro Bowl nods are nothing to scoff at, but unless he wins an MVP and a Super Bowl ring or two, it's impossible to forecast Cousins reaching Canton. Sure, his stats are good, but he's not really anything special now, is he? New England Patriots, Matt Judon. Judon went from very good in Baltimore to borderline all-pro level in New England. The only issue? Once again, late bloomer. Judon had 34.5 sacks in 5 years as a Raven, and 28 in 2 seasons as a Patriot. He's elite now, but being on the wrong side of 30, it's hard to envision Judon repeating that grade A production for much longer. New Orleans Saints, Michael Thomas. Injuries and nothing else ruined the 2019 Offensive Player of the Year's shot at a Hall of Fame. He missed 9 games in 2020, the entire 2021 season, and all but 3 games in 2022. Before that, Thomas was in conversation for best wide receiver in the game. It's simply too late for him to make up for lost time and cement a Hall of Fame case, though. New York Giants, Saquon Barkley. Barkley's 2019, 2020, and 2021 seasons were all riddled by injuries. Not ideal, considering that he plays a devalued position. At his age, time is simply working against Barkley. He's gonna have to win multiple rushing titles and a Super Bowl and/or an MVP to qualify for Canton. And that just seems next to impossible at this stage of his career. New York Jets, CJ Mosley. If Mosley stayed with the Ravens, he would be on a Hall of Fame trajectory. But injuries, the COVID-19 opt-out in 2020, and inconsistent production have limited Mosley since coming to Gotham in 2018. Yes, he was a 5-time Pro Bowler, but was Mosley ever a top-of-the-top level defensive player? No. Of course not. On the bright side, he's gonna be in the unofficial Hall of Very Good. Philadelphia Eagles, Darius Slay. Slay has had the misfortunes of playing with so many other elite corners during his prime years. If he had played in the 90s or early 2000s, he would be a surefire Hall of Famer. But you can't realistically state that he was a top 5 corner of his era. And given his age now, it's hard to see Slay racking up the individual accolades to squeak in. Pittsburgh Steelers, Cameron Hayward. Hayward is a longtime fan favorite in Pittsburgh. Him and TJ Watt have been a prolific pass rushing duo for half a decade now. But Hayward lacks the individual accolades and stats to be considered for the Hall of Fame. But if we were the Rooney family, we would sure not hesitate to retire Hayward's number and put him in the Ring of Honor. San Francisco 49ers, Brandon Ayuk. We feel pretty confident that Ayuk's teammates in Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and George Kittle will all make it to the Hall of Fame. Now, this is nothing against Ayuk the player. He's just one of many good players on his star-studded SF team. He is not gonna put up the Samuel, Kittle, or Run CMC-like numbers to be a Hall of Famer. There's no shame in that. It's just the reality of being on a stacked team. The Seattle Seahawks, Jamal Adams. Adams was a top-flight safety during his tenure with the Jets. Since being traded to Seattle, it's kind of been a roller coaster ride to say the least. The Seahawks have drafted several studs in Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant, and Devin Witherspoon since Adams' arrival. Thus, Adams' role in Seattle will never be as monumental as it was in New York. Hard to see Adams making a Canton case when he's probably not even a top 3 player on Seattle's defense. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Lavonte David. David is one of the most overlooked and underappreciated players of his era. Too bad the Bucs were only relevant during the 3-year short and sweet Tom Brady era. David has the Super Bowl ring and lone Pro Bowl nod, but he is just one of many great linebackers of his era. He was never on the level of Bobby Wagner, Fred Warner, Luke Kuechly, etc. He'll be in the Bucs Ring of Honor, but that's gonna be it. Tops. Tennessee Titans, Kevin Byard. Byard has been a staple on the Titans secondary since his 2017 breakout season. But can you really put him in that upper tier of top defensive backs? It feels kind of like a stretch. It doesn't help that Byard is entering his age 30 season, a popular time for top flight safeties to start to decline. Byard has had a marvelous career up to this point. But Ed Reed, Brian Dawkins, or Troy Polamalu level? Yeah, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Washington Commanders, Terry McLaurin. McLaurin's production without an elite quarterback is nothing short of incredible. But we're not talking about a perennial All-Pro who ranks among the leaders in catches nor receiving yards on an annual basis. McLaurin is a top 15 receiver in the game right now, but Hall of Famer? That's a bit of a stretch. If only a Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow-like QB was throwing him the football. But which other active NFL stars do you think will fall short of the Hall of Fame? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.